Welcome back to another Asinium Games review. On the block today is Mordhau, an action-packed, high-skill cap medieval combat slasher. Look, I've had tons of fun with this game. I've got about 30 hours so far and it's absolutely flown past. This game was released at the end of April 2019 by an indie developer, Triturnian. The game is enjoying widespread success and it's well earned. Now, if you've seen any of my other reviews, I like to analyse video games from a variety of perspectives: story, graphics, audio, game mechanics, and value. However, Mordhau has no story, so I'm cutting that one out. Instead, I'll be swapping story out for customization, as it's what makes this game so great. Now, with all of that, let's dive in. Alright, so first up we have customization. Now this is something that Mordhau does superbly. So it begins off with you choosing the size, height, various other normal customization options for your character, with as shown on screen, like a pretty decent amount of options. Now the main currency of the game is gold, which upon completing the tutorial I earned like 2.5k, and this was enough to fully customize a character and then some. After this, each game rewards, a varying amount of gold depending on your score and whether your team is victorious. And really, you get more than enough gold, and you guys seem to have plenty, which is what you use to unlock different weapons and cosmetics and armor that isn't locked behind different level gaps or certain level requirements. And in games such as this, the progression takes the form of unlocking these different weapons and customizing your character. There's enough variety and balancing across each weapon type and armor that no one really looks the same. It gives this great impression when you're running around in the midst of this huge war that each person there is still singular and unique. And often I'd run into someone super intimidating and they have this customized character that they obviously put huge amounts of time into. And you can only really get that by either being really good or having tons of hours. And the next time you see this distinctive armor, the special helm, and you either go for this cheap shot or you run away. And it's this level of customization that really adds to this sense of immersion. And it's not like when you're playing PUBG or something and the person you see's most distinctive thing is a Hawaiian t-shirt, which is about 3 pixels. You see other people when they kill you and you remember them, and the next time you think twice. Overall, I really like the customization system. I think it's what really differentiates this game from other combat slashers. Whilst there's no story, the progression is brought from creating characters and unlocking these new weapons, cosmetics, and armor pieces. The game also has no in-game store, which is great, meaning that everything you want, you have to earn the old-fashioned way, through blood, sweat, and tears. Now, this is one of the great strengths of Mordhau, and for customization, I award it 9 out of 10. Next up, we have graphics. Look, they're fine. I mean, with games like these, you want them to be able to run well with high frames, not necessarily be gorgeous. And the general landscape and maps are fine, they're a bit grainy sometimes on my PC, but no huge issues. And the game isn't really about breathtaking vistas or these beautifully rendered character models. Rather, it's about combat and everything that entails, including the armor and weapons. This is where the developers haven't really pulled any punches. The variety of armor types, customization, and sheer awesomeness of the armor is excellent. I don't think there's really much else here to say. The game is fine looking, certainly not great, but also not terrible. Really, it suits the purpose of the game. Even if they had wanted to have better looking maps or more detailed character models, then I think it would make 64 players swinging insanely at each other much more demanding on PCs and servers. Now, this might be a little generous, but I think for what they've accomplished with this game and the fact that it's an indie developer, I really don't have any gripes with the graphic level they're at. So, for graphics, I give it a 7 out of 10. Up next, we have audio. Now, this is really important in parts of games like these. It's not so much the soundtrack, but mostly the noises of enemies or the sound it makes when you lop off an opponent's arm. They sort of scream in pain. The best is the sickening thud you hear when someone smashes a maul into your skull. And the game does great in this respect, especially because when you're in a super fast-paced or long duel, you need to be able to hear those fast-paced slices or crunches. And as we'll dive into later in game mechanics, it's especially important when knowing when an enemy has blocked an attack, and maybe turning that into a chamber or a morph. It's that specific noise you need to be able to hear, recognize, and immediately block or counter. It does a pretty great job. I mean, the different noises, slashes, and crunches of different weapons on steel or skin is really rewarding. It's great. I've never stabbed anyone before, and definitely not someone wearing plate armor, but I could imagine it being a little bit like this, maybe? I'm not sure. Each character has a specific voice you can customize, so when you're running into battle you can push V and your character will let loose his battle cry. It's pretty good. It ranges from some ridiculously deep barbarian to a high-pitched foppish dickhead. It's pretty well done, and especially when you first start the game, it has this fun G-up effect as you sort of rush off into battle. Anyway, there's nothing super fantastic here about the auto, but it's definitely solid and pretty good. 7 out of 10. Alright, now we have gameplay. Obviously in a medieval combat slasher, this is pretty important, and I gotta say, Mordhau smashes it. This is definitively the most complex, tight, high skill cap combat game I've ever played. There's a huge level of skill and diversity, and as you play each game mode, the type of skill setup or combat you use changes. And it's not only blocking, attacking, and feinting, there's also chambering and morphing. Now when you chamber an attack, you block their stab attack with a stab attack of your own, and it pushes past their guard and hits them. Morphing is when you turn a stab attack into a swing attack, baiting the block early, and it means it's going to hit them. On top of this, there's a mechanic called dragging. Now I haven't really mastered this one, but it largely consists of you, midway through a swing, dragging the attack the other way. Now this can either extend or speed up the attack time, throwing off the block timing of the enemy. It's very tricky and I struggle to block it. There are some people in this game who are just light years better than I could ever hope to be. It's as much of a tactical game as it is a speed and slashing game. This is particularly more important in some game modes more than others, as Frontline is more of an insane clusterfuck of weapons and blood, whilst dueling is 1v1 high-skill tactical gameplay. Now, there are quite a few different game modes. My favourite is Frontline. It's 32v32 gameplay, and these are the closest to medieval siege combat I think I'm ever going to get to. There are about 4 different maps, and you and your team have to capture different objectives and hold them so your team can push onward to victory, or alternatively, defend a castle and your king. There's not a whole lot of diversity in the objectives of the maps. It's really just about defeating your enemy and just pushing forward. But you can have some really fun times with this, especially if you're playing with a big group of friends like I did when I first started. As a group of 8 of us pushed into the enemy base, we were pretty excited and it was pretty memorable. Right up until the enemy respawned and 20 players swamped over 8 of us. But this kind of stuff is commonplace, and you can play either stupidly or strategically, always creating these really fun, memorable moments as you kill 6 enemies in a row or lop off 2 heads in one swing. It's just super fun. Now next there's Horde. This is similar to the zombie mode of the Call of Duty franchise. It's the same maps as Frontline, but you and your teammates have to survive against increasingly difficult waves of bots while getting points from kills and surviving rounds to buy new and better equipment. Now this, in my opinion, is pretty average. Maybe it was because I was bad or I approached it wrong, but it was a bit too difficult, honestly. I feel, especially at the start, that you don't get enough points, so you spend the first few rounds punching the guys to death, which is fine, but it just takes far too long to get a full set of armor or good weapons. I just don't think we ever made it past around 9, maybe, as the enemies just became too tough for our usual technique, which was essentially just kiting with a bow and arrow, and then I'd eventually get boxed in and instantly die. It was really punishing, and I just didn't feel much more of a desire to play it. I've seen videos of others finding spots where they couldn't be hit by bots and they could slowly cheese them down, but what's the point of that? It means it's too hard to do properly, and honestly I find cheesing unrewarding. Now, this game mode could definitely get better with a bit of elbow grease from the devs, but in its current state it feels a little slapped in, and it's definitely, in my opinion, not the best part of the game. Now, it's 2019, the year of Battle Royales, and Mordhau is no exception. Now, I've only played this one a few times, and I don't know, I'm not a fan. I think, like everyone else, I'm definitely a bit tired of BRs, and Mordhau's version certainly did nothing to improve that. It's standard. I mean, you spawn naked, and you have to run around and either find items or kill others and take their items. There's not really a whole else to say. If you've played a BR, you know what this is. It doesn't have any gimmicks or anything different to any other game. Whoever survives till the end wins. I never survived till the end, nor did I win. Overall, pretty forgettable in my book, but hey, that's up to you. If you like BRs, maybe you'll enjoy this. I didn't. Now, in addition to all these spicy game modes, there's also Deathmatch, Team Deathmatch, and a personal favourite, dueling servers. Now, they're not official, and whilst they're not singular to Mordhau, it's certainly a bit unique. Now, it's exactly what you think it is. You enter a server and you run up to an enemy. You challenge them by flourishing your sword, and if they flourish back, it's on. A fight to the death. Now, whoever reaches 30 kills first is the winner. But what's fun about this is there's this sense of honour and there's these rules. If you break them, you're punished punitively. If you interrupt other people, like dueling, then the whole server will instantly attack you, and sometimes it's a mistake, other times it's, nefarious sabotage. So people are really unforgiving, and attacking other people who haven't accepted a duel or interrupting other people is punishable by death, but usually a server ban too. Now for Mordhau, gameplay really is king. The combat is super fun, rewarding, it's hard to master, but it's also intuitive. The maps are okay, nothing's super great about any of them. I personally prefer the castle one, but there's only a few good ones really in my mind. They definitely carry the rest of the game. So overall, I give 9.5 out of 10 to Mordhau for gameplay, and that's mostly just because of how good the combat is. Okay, so in regard to value, I picked this game up for 43 Australian dollars, and it was a great purchase in my book. I've already gotten 30 hours out of it, and as they add more content, maps, and game modes, I'll definitely be coming back to play more. This game is fun solo or with friends. If you like this type of combat, which can at times admittedly be a bit infuriating, definitely check it out. In terms of value, I give it a 9 out of 10. And here we are, at the end of the video. Now just a quick summary of the scores. Customization, 9 out of 10. Graphics, 7 out of 10. Audio, 7 out of 10. Gameplay, 9.5 out of 10. Value, 9 out of 10. With an overall average score of 8.3. Now, hopefully you made it this far, and overall I think this game is great value for what you get. It's hard to master, but it's easy to pick up. It really is great, and I can definitely see it only improving. It's already got a pretty decent player base with 0 in-game purchases, and this one's a good price without a lot of the usual microtransaction crap that seems to be plaguing modern games. Now, I've certainly had fun with it, and I hope you will too. Now, if you like this video, please give it a like, and if you liked me and you want to hear more content, please hit that subscribe button. If there are any suggestions you have for improving or any games you want to see, please don't hesitate to comment and let me know. Anyway, that's all from me. I'll see you next time.